This happened for a reason.
It had to happen.
There's a man upstairs that was looking after me and said, oh, you need to go to prison so you can figure it out. Otherwise, you're going to die.
Man.
And that's what happened. And guess what? I don't care if I'm selling ice cream. Guess what? That ice cream company is going to sell for $1 billion. You watch this. One day, we're going to replay this. $1 billion. That's my exit.
Man, we steady smash. It's a great episode for me because this not only, a person that I grew up with, but somebody that I call a brother, a friend. He's looked out for me on a lot of occasions. I didn't even realize what was going on back in the day, but he looked out. Today we got my brother, cocaine quarterback, Odog. What's up, Dad?
Really good to see you, man. It's been a while. Last time I saw you was Michigan, right?
Yeah.
You were at the Michigan football game. The Trojans did that.
We whooped some ass.
We whooped some ass, man.
What I really wanted to know, man, was how did the Odog sports betting enterprises start, right? How did you get to that point?
I started Bet Odog when I lost my job right out of USC, right? I got that job working for the USC alumni, and the real estate market just crashed, and I was working 9 to 5, making 6 figures right out of college. And I remember the day that the market crashed, I got a call in the office. He says, Owen, we can't keep you, man. We got to let you go. And LenDale, I was so devastated. I was like, man, what am I going to do now? And I said, you know what? I'm going to be a bookie, right? You've been watching Scarface, Casino, all these gangsters being from the Goodfellas. I was like, man, I'm going to be a bookie. I'm like, how do I become a bookie, right? I got athletes that are my friends. I got these fraternity kids that have millions of dollars from their mom and dad, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a bookie to the athletes and to the USC kids. I remember I went to that Rolodex, right? That mental Rolodex. And I said, my dad has a friend that's an Italian bookie. And I'm going to go talk to him, right? And then that's where it started, man. And I became this agent, right? I was a sub-agent for this big company called Matro Sports. And I literally said, hey, what are you going to pay me? I'm going to bring you athletes. I'm going to bring you, CEOs of companies. I said, what is it worth to you? And they told me I'm going to give you 20%. I didn't know anything about the business, so I was like, okay.
You're thinking that's good money.
I was thinking, okay, what can I produce, right? And I remember the first 6 months, I had one customer that was a CEO of a big commercial construction company, and he lost $1 million cash. And I was like, wow, $1 million cash. So I collected it. I took my 20%, $200,000, and I gave them $800,000. I'm like, I'm in the wrong business. Like, I'm only making $200,000. This is my customer. So I went back to the sports book and I said, hey guys, come on, man. These are my customers. I said, I got athletes that are making $50 million contracts that I'm going to get and bring through your operation. They're like, sorry, we're only going to pay you 20%.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to figure it out on my own. So I flew to Costa Rica and I went to the mecca of sports betting where all the big companies are. And I went door to door and I tried to figure out how can I do this? And I said, okay, you need a call center. You need to have your servers offshore. You need to have a 1-800 phone number. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I said, I want to start Bet Odog because that was my nickname caller, remember? So we started the website.
Tell me, do I remember your nickname? I mean, all your numbers are saved as Odog in my phone. That's what we called you, so yeah.
So I said, Bet Odog. Yeah. And I went down there and they gave me a phone number that was 1-800 Bet Odog. And they gave me a website, betodog.com. And that's where it started.
I have so many questions. I'm like, the mental to fly down to Costa Rica and you say, I'm getting, like, you hit the ground running, I'm going door to door.
That's right.
Like, how did those people take that? Like, how are they like, because you're obviously an American, I think it's a lot easier when you're a white American.
Yeah, dude, with that home over.
You know what I'm saying? A little pretty, handsome guy called, So they're like, yeah, I can get this, So how, was it easy, getting these people to give you the information so you can like lock up your own, to go into your own betting shit? Or was it pulling string or teeth and shit?
Back then it was a different era, right? It's just, you got to think this is 2008 before, gambling became legal. 10 years before gambling became legal. So there was a lot of gray area sports betting. So for me, it was about finding the best price and finding the best lines because in sports betting, you got to be careful because there's these guys called wise guys or sharps. They're professional bettors, right? And they'll bet early and the line will move.
Keep bouncing it.
So I knew about the business already. So I had to make sure I found an outfit that could move the line fast enough, as fast as Las Vegas. So when I went in there, I'm like, okay, who's your line manager? I want to learn who's moving the lines for me.
Yeah.
And I study. I went office to office and I would speak to these guys. I say, hey, who do you move your lines off of? Oh, we move our lines off of Greek. We move our lines off of BetMGM, Caesars. Okay, good. And then I would sit there and I'd watch them and I would see if they'd move their lines accordingly to the Las Vegas lines. And then I would literally go office to office to see who's the fastest line mover.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. And then I said, okay, let's agree on a price. And I remember it was $5,000 a month. They have a phone number for me, a website, and 3 managers that work for me. So I went with them.
You fly into Costa Rica basically, and as long as you can legit produce the people with the money,
yes,
you can open up operations.
It's my money. Yeah, it's yours. So it's mine. So everything I make is all mine. If I have an agent, I pay him a commission.
Yeah. Oh, so at this point, now this shit's just yours. I pay as I want.
Yeah.
It only makes sense now. So you go from making 6 figures out of college, fired, to now you brainstorm, you figure out, oh, I want to, get into this betting shit. You talk to your dad's friend, the Italian guy. Now you're in Costa Rica, going door to door to figure out how the lines work. So while you're doing this, what type of shit are you doing in between? I ain't talking about none of this. I'm talking about like, what's life like?
So life's a party, Adele. Like that. I tell myself, I got to be Las Vegas, but mobile, right? I need to be a casino host.
Yes, sir.
So what happens when you go to Vegas? Your casino host greets you.
Yes.
He gives you comps, right? He comps your room. What else does he do? Comps your shutters.
Everything around is comp,
right?
It's free.
So now my mentality says, what if I bring these people that go to Vegas? What if I bring them to Costa Rica, right?
Oh, man.
Costa Rica, everyone wants to go to Costa Rica. Why? It's a fucking rainforest. There's pretty women. There's sports betting. There's all you can drink alcohol. So now instead of people going to Vegas and losing their money, now they're betting with Odog and losing their money. But I'm comping them. You saw my house in Costa Rica. I'm talking 5,000 square foot mansion in the middle of the rainforest with monkeys crawling over, glass floors, glass windows, infinity pools. And people would come in and be like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like they think it's a Scarface house, right? But it was all from gambling.
Yeah. See, you would have had me hooked. I'm not even a crazy gambler. Like, I love Vegas. I think I love Vegas because of the access of life, right? You go downstairs and it's like, oh, do I want a Ferrari? Oh,
the amenities.
You know what I mean? It's like
food, right? Yeah. It's like, let's go to Crystals and go have Mastros, or let's go to Tao Beach. And the food is just amazing, the shows. But what I found out, a lot of men like women, right?
Yeah.
So we know that in Vegas, there's a lot of prostitution.
For sure.
But guess what? You go to Costa Rica, it's the same thing.
It's the same
But
thing.
Guess what? It cost me a quarter of the price. And it's legal. Now these customers of mine can do something legally that they can't in Las Vegas.
Right. There's no pressure. You go out there, you can literally pay for, whatever it would be
you want.
And
it's legal.
Yeah, it's legal.
So for me, it's not like I'm going to get in trouble. I'm just going to say, whatever you want. You're my VIP customer. You're my whale. And that's how I started getting clients. And the athletes would come.
I mean, because when you say that, I'm thinking as far as an athlete, yes, I love Vegas. But like when you can tell me, hey, I got this, I can have Vegas, except for it's on a beach or in a rainforest. And have this same exact experience you have, except for, you don't have to worry about nothing else. Yeah, I'm going to Costa Rica.
And guess what? No one's going to see you in Vegas. You might get a paparazzi if you're an NFL player. There's so-and-so.
You're going to be seen for sure.
With some girl that's not supposed to be with you, right? So you take them to Costa Rica, they never got to worry about any of that.
It's probably a reason that we weren't hanging like that. Because we hung out, but like, I'm thinking in my head, like, ain't no way, like, had I known what was going on, I would have been your right-hand man. We would have been all muscle together, because I probably would have been Halls. I probably would have been, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, for short, hanging with you, because when I'm thinking about that, like, we did Vegas.
But you know why I didn't bring you in? Because you were a legitimate athlete. And I'm not going to take my friend that's playing in the NFL.
You already taking you taking a degenerate motherfucker that's already ready to go down there.
But hey, I already down the hole. I already fell down that rabbit hole.
And it's not hard to go down that rabbit hole. See, that's how you know you're dealing with like people that either care about you, love you, or like real friends. And it's crazy. Like I said earlier, when we first started this, I remember being in whatever jam I was and like going to the house at this point. Yes, I remember the bet and shit and all that, but I'm just like, I'm looking around and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy into? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like you had,
That's when we started that.
you know what I mean? But it was like you had any and everything. And I ain't just talking about that kind of shit. I'm just talking about like little artifacts and little knickknacks around your house where I'm looking like, I'm not crazy. Like I've seen this shit in other people's cribs, but they're like family heirlooms. The gold.
I still got it. Let's bring it right here. Let's get right here. Okay, listen. I have it. I had to put it out.
I thought I was tripping. I told people about this
Louis
shit.
Vuitton right there.
This shit.
With the Louis Vuitton.
The Louis Vuitton on the handle and shit.
47.
Bro, people thought they thought I was playing. I'm like, man, I went to this man's house. He got gold AKs and shit. Dog, that shit's just incredible. It's like, as much as I was an athlete and I was living that like a crazy life, I could honestly say that when I went to your house when I seen some of that shit, and then when we would go to the clubs, and I remember you would never let me pay for shit. It'd be like, yeah, I'd be like, go on your credit card, you're fine. Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, that's not even gonna happen. You're like, I got this shit, and it was just.
Yeah, I remember when I was in Costa Rica, right? I was watching a game with one of my customers, my gambling customers, and we were in this fucking mansion in Costa Rica. And Matt Leinert's holding the clipboard for the Cardinals, right? Yeah. My gambling customer goes, hey, Owen, do you think Matt's having more fun than you? I said, fuck no.
Sitting on the bench, and I'm not taking no shots at Matt. This is our guy.
He's our boy.
But you know, like, yeah, sitting on the bench, you're like living that life. There's nothing like that, especially as a 22, 25, anything under 35. When you're living that life, it's the greatest shit in the world. Like, you can't wait to go out, can't wait to hit the club. What are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, let's watch, repeat, start this shit all over the next day. So like, even like our dude, Brandon Hancock, I don't know how he's the age he is and he can't wait to party. Like, hey, we're going to party after this. Make sure you bring Odog. I'm like, it's going to be 11 in the afternoon. He doesn't give a damn. He's ready to rip it. We're going back a little bit to the gambling shit. I wanted to know, like, what was some of the main challenges of running that or the sports betting shit?
You know, the main challenge for me, obviously, was the money. Because you got to remember, back then when I was doing this, it was illegal. So in order to keep it, you know, to avoid the law, you have to deal with cash, right? And how do you pay a customer that's in North Carolina when my operation's in Costa Rica and I'm in California? So, you know, the moving of the money was the hardest part. So what I did is I find an agent in every state.
Yeah.
So if you were in New Orleans or John Doe was in North Carolina, I would have them hold money in we call it a stash house, right? For sure. So they would have, you know, $500,000 in that house. And then if a customer won in, let's say, New Orleans, I would say, hey, LenDale, can you pay John Doe over there? Yeah. And you'd have to literally go pick it up and drop off cash. For me, that was the hardest part because, you know, you got to pay you got to pay everyone, and you got to factor it into the win-loss ratio.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest part.
And anything can happen. What if a guy gets pulled over with $500,000 cash in the car? They're definitely going to take it. They're not asking questions. They don't give a fuck what you work for. We don't care if you got a check stub.
Yeah, they want to know.
We want to take it. And you can come back and get it. The money. I mean, it's always the hardest parts. How did your customers, they agree to the cash? They want to get paid?
They want to get paid in cash, but guess what? They don't want to pay. No, they want to use a credit card. So that's what they do. That's good. The big thing. So I had three methods, and back then I had to be creative. You could either pay me with a cashier's check,
yeah,
or you could go into any bank, whether it was Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, and back then you could deposit $9,900 cash.
Yeah, 99 without.
Yeah, support sent out red flag, right? So I would have these customers, if they owe me $30,000, I would say, okay, do 4 payments, and I would want you to pay me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I had these bank accounts that were called ATM Unlimited, an ATM machine business. What does an ATM machine business shoot out? Cash, right? So now these customers are putting cash in, and these guys that work for me that got indicted, they were the owners of the ATM business. So they would go to the banks and they'd be like, hey, I'm Johnny from ATM Unlimited. I need to pull out $70,000 in cash. Yeah. They're not going to think anything because that's what they ATM.
I'm not, granted, you did this. We bounced back from it.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking about is like the greatness that's in you, because now you're out of prison. You did all that shit, right? But now you're You went from selling bricks and whatever to like packaging. You've always been a hustler is what I'm saying. It's like, it's never been not a part of you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, maybe it's a little unfortunate some of that did take place, but it's like, shit, for me, it's a part of the story.
Yeah, it's like, tell people this happened for a reason.
It had to happen.
There's a man upstairs that was looking after me and said, oh, you need to go to prison so you can figure it out. Otherwise, you're going to die.
Man.
And that's what happened. And guess what? I don't care if I'm selling ice cream. Guess what? That ice cream company is going to sell for $1 billion. You watch this. One day, we're going to replay this. $1 billion. That's my exit.
Since we're on film, I get a 0.5%. I mean, no, listen, I don't know
what part of the documentary gets a fucking sliver. But sliver as a billion is a lot.
Man, a sliver of a billion is a whole lot of money. You know what's crazy? When we talk about the documentary, people, like, it's crazy because, like, I walk around now and it's like, people like,
#1 documentary in the world?
yeah, they're like, you're the dude from the cocaine quarterback, right? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he's like, is he really like? I'm like, you have no idea. I'm like, what's crazy is, yes, we dummied it down. So much. But as it should be. As it should be. You know what I mean?
We don't want to spare people.
And people probably will look at us, you know, crazy for no reason, for just being, you know, 20-year-old kids not understanding what was ahead of us.
That's right.
Had we known on this end, you know, it's always 20. What do they say? Hindsight's 20 or whatever. Yeah, of course it would be, because it's like, yeah, like I'm 41 now. I'll be 41 in a couple weeks. But it's like, even my football career, of course I would have done shit way different. You know what I mean? But it's like, you don't think about that shit till now.
You know what I tell them, LenDale? People say, would you have done things differently? And we can't lie, because if we, you know, we had a fucking great time, right? So I said, absolutely not, because I want to be here today to tell you my story, right? And to help others.
Man, for real. I wanted to ask you about the gamblers. You said you have pro gamblers, or, you know, athlete gamblers. Were these motherfuckers like legit gamblers, or were they shitty?
Dude, I had one, Taj, he was the closer for the World Series team.
Yeah.
For 2 World Series teams. This motherfucker couldn't hit the side of a barn. He would bet $20,000 on a basketball game, $20,000 on a football game.
Yeah.
$20,000 on a soccer game.
Didn't care.
Didn't care. He lose every time. I wanted the guy to win, just so he can see that he could win. And then I'd be like, here you go, you won. But he kept losing and losing.
Oh, I need 20 on. But was it like it's stupid shit?
Stupid.
Was it like, oh, like, again, I don't know. Was it like, okay, yeah, USC, UCLA, give me 20 on UCLA.
That's what he would do.
Dumbest shit ever. He's trying to ride away.
He bet $10,000 on the coin flip on the Super Bowl. The coin flip.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I want 10 grand.
I think, I love that type shit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. A lot of our friends, and even I think last year we were at the Super Bowl down in, we went to Vegas, but we're sitting there watching. It's crazy giant screens around, like, you know what I mean? They're gonna have crab legs. This is a great ass time, right? But you got motherfuckers sitting there and everybody's talking about this coin flip. There's some rich motherfuckers in front of us. As soon as it goes up in the air and it lands, all you is, yes, motherfucker. You know what I mean? And he's like, look, I turn around, I'm like, no, what happens? I just want 50 motherfucking thousand on that. I'm like, you spent that much on heads or tails? The balls of some of these people are flat.
That's what I call a degenerate.
Yeah, right. It has to be
a degenerate. And I listen, gamble responsible people. I'm not going to knock you. You're a grown man. If you gamble, you're an adult, but gamble responsible. Because if you go down the path I went down, because remember, it all started with gambling. And unfortunately, it spiraled out of control because I was a degenerate gambler and I was an action junkie. So please gamble responsibly.
That couldn't have been said better. That shit's real. Again, we're talking about 10, 15, 50,000. That could be, for some of us, even including myself, I know I made some good money on it. 50 grand for me still is life changing. I would never go put 50 grand down on anything. Yeah. When I tell you I'm like $1 parlay, $2 parlays, I'm trying to stack. I'm one of them guys that want $1 for, and one day I look up and hit 16 grand on some lucky shit. Yeah, but I'm not $1. Yeah, but I'm not going to give you 16 grand to hit 16 grand. It's just nowhere here. I would never do that, man. What was the process of, like, say like a customer owed money and he had to pay?
He didn't want to pay?
Yeah, let's say that.
You got to remember, back in my day, we give people a line of credit. It's not like now where you put your credit card on file and it's already charged. So back then, when, as a bookie, old school bookie, you give your customer a line of credit.
Okay, with line of credit now, that's your money.
My money.
That you're giving him. I'm betting this shit.
Like an American Express.
Okay, yeah.
So what happens when you sign up for American Express? You get a $10,000 credit line.
Yes, sir.
And if you start paying it,
you have a bigger head.
So I would start customers with 10 grand for a week, and then I would expand them once they pay you, right? So one customer owed me $85,000. And he didn't want to pay. I'm like, man, you don't understand. Like, you need to pay because listen, when you win, what happens? I pay you.
Yeah.
When you lose, guess what? You pay me. This is the business
Yeah.
agreement we went into. This is business 101. And this customer had won multiple times. So for me to have him lose 85 grand and not pay me, that's stealing, right? That's morals.
Yeah.
So I let him know, listen, it's not going to go over well. So I start small. I called parents. I have a private investigator that works for me. I called the parents and said, hey, your son Ricky hasn't paid me. He owes me some money. He owes some powerful people in the bookie business. And guess what? He still doesn't pay me. What do? I find out where his wife works. Oh, she works at Norfolk. So what do? I sent Lyle his wife. Tell Ricky the flowers are on me, but we need to get paid. 99.9% is not. That's what it takes. And if he doesn't pay me, then we result to the last decision. Cobra. We never touch the customer. I'll tell you what. Because then they're going to call the cops.
So you want him to come back, and you also want to come back.
He's eventually going to come back. Yeah. So we send Cobra, but Cobra's expensive. You saw Cobra, he was in the documentary, the Booyah Tribe. So we send Cobra. I tell Cobra, do not say a word, because once you see Cobra, you're like, okay, fuck it, let me pay you. Yeah. So I bring Cobra, we knock on the door. I said, man, why'd you make me bring this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you want me to wire the money? Like, that's the last final straw.
He's for sure ready to collect. There ain't no way I'm not about to whoop some ass, man. What was some of the craziest things you ever took for payment?
Fuck, man. You know what I've taken for payment?
Let's talk about it.
Dude, I've taken gold.
Yes, sir.
I've taken kilos.
Hell yeah.
I've taken APs.
Ooh,
I've taken Richards. I've taken Petites. I'll take anything. If I can sell it,
I'm taking it. That's respectfully. See, I think sometimes people in this lifestyle, it's like, oh, I need my money, my cash. No, you can give me your bands. You can give me that change. You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, I'm going to, but that's still, you still owe. Yeah. It's just a small part of the dent.
Yeah, I tell them I'm going to sell it, and what I get, it comes off your tab.
That's what's up, man. Do you think Odog will ever get back into sports betting or have anything to do with sports betting?
Listen, I would need to ask the judge permission.
Yes, sir.
Because it was part of my clause that I wouldn't be involved in gambling.
Illegal gambling.
Oh, illegal gambling. So now that gambling is legal, I made this agreement before gambling became legal.
Sure. That was 20 years ago then.
So I would go back to the judge and I would say, listen, I don't want to get involved in the gambling aspect. I want to get involved in the gambling responsibly aspect. Because now I teach college kids, I go to the universities, and I speak to the teams. You're grown men. You can gamble. It's legal. So please just gamble responsible. Because guess what, guys? You saw what happened to me. It all started with a bet. One bet.
Fucking bet.
Yeah.
Hey, man, this has been a great sit down. This is my brother, one of my great friends. Definitely can call him one of my best friends because he's never switched up on me. I needed him. I asked him, when can I be here? He said, listen, you pick a day and a time and I'll make it happen. And we did.